To talk my documentary, ongoing historical events. I've had a channel since 2017, Blog Talk Radio since 2014. I'm on my seventh channel due to the 1984 Orwellian Ministry of Truth process that YouTube has, and most social media out there, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Anyway, it's a tragic day. I was a little disgruntled in how we're perceiving a man that basically lit himself on fire. And the thing that bothers me the most about that, I mean, there's a lot of things, is that had he known the game, it probably wouldn't have happened. Had he known the game, that probably would have never have happened. And what I'm talking about is right here. Look at this comic. First of all, let's go back a little further, somewhere around this time. Smedley Butler, War is a Racket. They've been doing this forever. There's no reason to do that, and it's sad that it's getting to that, but there's so many other things that need to be brought to our attention that they're not talking about, that nobody wants to. Let me just one at a time here, because it's really a service member in the Air Force, all right, 25 years old, Aaron Bushnell. This comic is over 80 years old, and you don't have to change a thing about it. It's every bit as relevant today as the day it was drawn. And if you look at this, it shows all the money. It shows all the money going to the military-industrial complex. Education gets nothing. Health care gets nothing. The arts get nothing. Science is getting a lot lately, but that's kind of changed because they like I said back in 2020, they were catching up, and they knew there's another way to do this. Fauci has been their greatest salesperson, and he sold Trump pretty well. But the thing that gets me the most about this is that we're even at this point. He obviously did not want to continue to see the slaughter at the Gaza Strip, and I don't want to either. Like Trump said, I'm tired. I want all the killing to stop, and we really need to emphasize on that. But there's also a few other things that we need to be concerned about. We've always had people in the military, very seldom, but more so when they've gone to war or they've been on tours or they've seen traumatizing visual real-life situations, PTSD, and it is sad and it's wrong. And this whole thing just needs to stop. Like I've always said, do you truly believe that the 99.9% of the global population wants wars to continue? Do you think that, or do you believe that it's the 0.001% that want the wars to continue? Okay. A is the 99.9, B is the global pedo-predator class, aka 0.001%, that make billions of dollars off of every single war, trillions of dollars. It just continues. Let me get to this one real quick, and I'll kind of tell you. Had he seen this comic, right? Had he been informed to know that it's just been a fucking scam forever? for over 80 years. It's just been a scam after orchestrated event. The Gulf of Tonkin, that was a fucking scam, and that started Vietnam. I've talked to guys in Vietnam. Once you say you're a military, ex-military in any way, shape, or form, you're going to have a conversation with people. Especially people that also served as you served. And a lot of these guys are like, they had no clue what was going on. They were just giving orders. They were just following orders. That's just the way it works. And the global pedo predator class, no. They have all this power. Anyway. So I was watching, if I can get to this real quick. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, this didn't have to happen, but the problem with this, right? The problem with this, when it happened, is that it's the lies, it's the propaganda, it's just the continuous marketing and the impressions and the branding and the everything to get people to do these things. Just like, every day when I'm feeling down, and I'm not feeling, and I'm not just feeling like, James K. Young, the, guy, and things are just a little rough. I think about the $1 trillion or hundreds of billions of dollars that were spent on trying to get me to take that Kool-Aid in the beginning of 2021 in my arm. And they couldn't do it. That's what keeps my head up high. Is that I was able to say, nah, I don't think so, bro. But this didn't need to happen. All of this shit doesn't need to. It's just, fuck, God, jeez. Continuous bullshit just doesn't need to happen. And this guy, right? He's gonna let you know that his handlers, aka advisors, are gonna let him know. He doesn't fucking make any calls. He doesn't make the fucking call. And then there's Seth Meyers or Seth Green or whatever his name is, Seth the fucking Auschwitz Nazi fucker from the daily night show or whatever the fuck it is. But let's listen to Dickwad.
Could you give us a sense of when you think that ceasefire will start, sir?
Well, I hope by the beginning of the weekend. The end of the weekend. At least my national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday we'll have a ceasefire.
Okay, thank you.
What's this? Fuck, what?
Could you give us a sense of when you think that ceasefire?
Right, and Seth was going to take a bite with him. Weren't you, Seth? What a piece of shit. Fucking SNL, such shit. And these are the people that were promoting war constantly. Fetterman, even fucking part of the many people in the Republican Party. People I knew. Oh, we should just fucking kill him. Are you kidding? What the fuck? Is it just me, or do I have a little heart here? Do I just care? I don't just care about us. I care about everybody. I want to go across the planet. I want to be seen as an ally, as a friend. I don't want to constantly be looking over my shoulder in the way that we've positioned ourselves across this planet. It's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And now we're going to let them all in. All our worst enemies are coming in by the hundreds of thousands. By the hundreds of thousands. By the end of this year, there's supposed to be over 10 million illegal, incorrectly, non-processed, through a fucking stupid app with no checks, no balances, nothing. No vetting, letting people into this country. When the average amount that it usually is for the past, 5, 10 decades has been like 400,000 to 500,000 per year. And then the past year we're at 2.5 million a year now with this fuck. God, it didn't need to happen, man. And I don't want to call this guy a legend. I don't want to call him a hero. I don't want to do that. Because for one, he didn't have to be there. He didn't have to be in that mind space. Okay, he didn't have, but the fucking mainstream media has got you guys with your panties such in a fucking uproar. It's crazy. It's insanity. It's, there's possibly mental issue, whatever the case may be. But to do that to yourself means that the marketing is powerful. That's my point. These fucks, I have whatever my advisors tell me to do. Nah. That just did not need to happen. And then here we go. Then we got all these people say, "Oh, ceasefires could happen now." Just one man kills himself, and everybody's paying attention now. But this happens. You guys remember? I gotta find this because it's gonna be easy to find. Tank stops in China. Tank stops in China for one man.
It was noontime to...
Watch this. We just don't, it's just not needed anymore. That's what I'm getting to. It's just...
It was noontime today in the center of Beijing when a man walked to the middle of the Avenue of Eternal Peace, which, as it happened, was already occupied. He walked to the middle and stood there. The man was alone. The tank was not. It wasn't just a single tank he stopped. There were 18 tanks and armored carriers in this convoy, and while he talked to the crew and ignored the gunfire, he stopped all of them. One man alone, of course, can't stop an army. Except for a moment, that's exactly what happened here. For 3 minutes in the middle of the day, an army was stopped by a man who stood still. A man who'd made up his mind, it seems, though why we just don't...
He's just done. This, I don't know. I don't want to call him a hero. I don't, because I just, because there's so many other things. What do you got there, Snow? Let me see. Ceasefire can't happen when Biden's rep keeps stopping it at UN. Oh yeah, that's every time it happens. Yeah, at the UN Security Council meetings. Oh yeah, we're gonna stop, and then the rep will say, "No, we're not gonna stop." It's just this has just got to stop happening, man. It's like, fuck. How much longer do we need to battle this country? That it's not even a battle. It's not about a battle. I'm gonna show you what it's about. I'm gonna show you what it's about right now, because this is what it's about. Because this girl pretty much exposes
but
what
in
it's
our
about.
own interest in preserving a free and open international order. That's what we need to do. We've done it before. And by the way, we have to remember that the bulk of this money is going right back into the U.S. economy to make those weapons, but in our own interest in preserving a free and open international order. That's what we need to do. We've done it before. And by the way, we have to remember that the bulk of this money is going right back into the U.S. economy to make those weapons, but in our own interest in preserving a free and open international order. That's what we need to do. We've done it before. And by the way, we have to remember that the bulk of this money is going right back into the U.S. economy to make those weapons, but in our own interest in preserving a free and open international order. That's what we need to do. We've done it before.
The United States Deputy Secretary of State Victor Nuland admits that the money for Ukraine is money laundering scheme. Yeah. And by the way, we have to remember that the bulk of this money is going right back into the U.S. economy to make those weapons. What have I been saying? What have I been saying forever? Especially more so in 2020 when I started getting my fucking channel chopped. Is that the money that they, anytime, there's a bipartisan deal, it's treason. It's domestic terrorism. It's somebody's dying, somebody's getting a very shitty end of the stick, and it's not them. It's not Congress. It's none of them on the Hill. It's always some country, some other country. It's us. The biggest terrorist group that I'm noticing right now, that I am fucking noticing, and that should be the discussion that everybody should be having is our own government. Our political leaders have turned into a gigantic terrorist group. They don't work for us anymore. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but like I said, a lot of this money is not even traced. They don't have, and I did a show on this, is they won't allow it's not a public, I was going to say certified public accountant, or somebody like that. It's the reporter or auditor. They won't allow an auditor, there's a different name, to closely examine the direction of where this money is going, how it's being used, etc. They won't allow it. It's so it like I said, it's going to Cayman Island accounts, it's going to Swiss bank accounts, it's going to South African accounts, it's going to fucking who knows where, Iceland, I don't fucking know, but it's not helping us. It's none of this. None of this money. Israel money. I mean, I just did a video last night I did clearly and thoroughly indicating that Israel has received in the past few decades 263 or 270 now. Close to $300 billion Israel has received. Close to $300 billion in the past few decades. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. Right? This is a commercial. And it's insanity. Somebody needed to tell that guy. But there's nobody that's going to tell him. Look at it. Yeah, 263 3.6 billion, and that's 2023. Now we're up to I think we're hitting the 300 million mark, 300 billion mark. Excuse me. Yeah, the weirdo in fucking Ukraine always gets his 10%. Yeah. It's just a fucking weird. They're all fucked up, man. They're just all just disgraceful. It's really terrible. What is he got? This is what Zelensky got. All right, this is what he gets. Vice President of Ukraine owns $35 million home in Florida and has $1.2 billion in overseas bank account. Zelensky owns 15 homes, 3 private planes, and has a monthly income of $11 million monthly income. Why is no one questioning where our aid is going? Because we don't have auditors. They won't allow auditors. It's like saying, hey, why don't you take this Kool-Aid in your arm and it's completely indemnified. It's like the same thing. Oh, still. Yeah, Hunter, right? Yeah, exactly. But this is just as alarming. This is just as alarming. It just fucking breaks my heart to see what the fuck is going on, man. It just breaks my fucking heart. I swear to God. It's just wrong. All this is wrong. Oh, yeah, we're going to be Ukraine. Right? Matt Oleth did a wonderful show. By the way, the other day. And I played it last night. It was fucking brilliant. Yeah. This motherfucker here. He's just a puppet. It's not him. And Obama is probably running the show, but Obama's getting his orders from the fucking, and I'm going to show you who. This is good. I got to get to this, and I'm keep distracting myself. Squirrel. All right, so we're going to go here. I'm going to go back to history because a really very in tuned, great reporter, podcaster, and freedom lover, patriot, more so just a freedom lover, and is getting it. Her name is Mel. What the hell is it? Yeah. Her name is Mel K. I don't know what her full name is, but I'm going to go to this.
Parents can't be.
To this mark here. Let me get to it real quick. All right, stupid fucking video. Under Uber teens. Does anybody trust that? I don't fucking trust that. Oh. Oh my God.
The entire nation is, I believe, dealing with something extraordinary, and a lot of people don't want to see it or talk about it. And I feel like if I don't, then who am I? What am I doing with my life if I can't say, listen, America, we're in big danger because our country has been usurped, and we the people are no longer in control. And whatever I can do to give some control back to the people, I feel like it's important.
Who do you think has usurped? I agree with you, by the way. And this is a false left-right dichotomy. And that's what the news media, which is owned by the people who want you to be afraid of your neighbor instead of the people who run things. And It works like a charm. But who do you think has usurped the United States and who's actually in control?
Well, I think there's two things here. One's geopolitical and one is in America. And to me, this goes back to a lot of different things. But first and foremost, I think our country was actually captured on the day that they murdered JFK in front of the whole world. And everything from then has been basically a cover up by the same people, same money, same protection racket that's been going on a long time. I do believe that in our lifetime, and certainly last 100 years, the biggest fraud perpetrated on the world is the United Nations. And I trace the United Nations and what I call their tentacles of their different globalist organizations to being above all of our nations at this point. I call them, the public-private partnership. A lot of people point to the World Economic Forum, but it's way bigger than that. Above
the global pedo-predator class. Everybody has their own names, but I think mine's pretty clear. It basically really and completely tells you who they are. because they are that.
Of them is the International Banking Cartel. I identify as the Bank of International Settlements at the top, IMF, World Bank underneath, and then all the, UNESCO, World Health Organization, IPCC, Chatham House, Council of Foreign Relations, the supranational group. I call them the parent company of planet Earth, and that they just allow us to live here in their minds. And then when you jump to America, I think it's very clear that our country's been captured by what I believe is a fourth branch of the government that has nobody oversees them. They're not accountable to anyone, and they're working with what I consider the fifth column, or the parent company of the United States of America that runs everything. I don't think our politicians on either side have any power at all in America right now, and I think the American people have to realize our intelligence agencies, intelligence community, so to speak, is basically a fourth branch of government right now that's controlling all the rest of them. They're all terrified of them, and they're playing games with us. Even this current thing with Julian Assange, it's the same thing, the same cover-ups, the same people. And as long as we're playing left and right and allowing intel news channels that are run to do this cognitive warfare on all of us to keep us divided, we can't see who's really pulling the strings. And at this point, I think it's pretty clear that the corporations and the banks and the intel agencies with their big tech partners are running America. And we, the people of the United States, aren't being listened to or even acknowledged at this point.
Yes, and to the point that even about 10 years ago, Princeton did a study which they determined what you just said is true. So, but they didn't say it quite that way. They said that the United States is not a democracy, that we live in an oligarchy. And so what you just pointed out is the oligarchs that are actually running the country, which is the banks, the corporations, and the intel agencies that work for the banks and the corporations. The intel agency doesn't work for the president, and they don't work.
Go to represent.us and look for that Princeton. When that came out, I remember when that came out, I was doing my Blog Talk radio show. I'm going to actually go to it right now. Represent.us. Oh, is it gone now? Oh, represented? Put it in. Represent.us. Okay. And here, this is the website. That's all you need to do. You need to see short film training resources. I'll show you the film right here. Democracy. Oh fuck. They went Breaking America, Justice for All. Yeah, they have. I don't even know if they have that in there anymore. That is very strange. The corruption problem. I think it's in this one right here. Alright, no. Corruption is legal in America. I think it's this one. 10 years spending influence governments. Nearly every issue we face as a nation is caught in the grip of corporations. Yeah. This is really good information. And this was done.
For the last few years, I've had this sense that everything I learned as a kid about how America's government works is completely wrong. But I had no idea how bad things actually were until I saw this one graph. Researchers at Princeton University looked at more than 20 years worth of data to answer a pretty simple question. Does the government represent the people? Now, this is what they found. This axis here represents public support for any given idea. On the left at 0% are ideas that not a single American wants. On the right at 100% are ideas that everyone supports. This axis represents the likelihood of Congress passing a law that reflects any of these ideas, from a 0 to a 100% chance. On this graph, an ideal republic would look like this. If 50% of the public supports an idea, there's a 50% chance of it becoming law. If 80% of us support something, there's an 80% chance. You get the idea.
That's the way it's supposed
Now,
to be.
most Americans would probably agree that, with a few exceptions, we should be as close to this ideal as possible. Unfortunately, the way America actually works doesn't even come close.
8 years ago.
Take an idea that nobody supports, literally nobody, and it has about a 30% chance of becoming federal law. Now, take an incredibly popular idea, the most popular idea this country has ever seen, and there's also about a 30% chance of it becoming law. This means that the number of American voters for or against any idea has no impact on the likelihood that Congress will make it law.
That's it. That's all you need to know. There's more to that. It's another fucking 3 or 4 minutes. But it's been that way for a long time. It's been that way for a long time. Now, I'm not fully for represent.us because they've pretty much gone a little woke and south, and they kind of shut down a little bit. They haven't really put up anything in a long time. The website's kind of just sitting there. But the information that this Princeton study did was highly revealing in where we're at. And it's worse now than ever before. It's worse now than ever before. The majority of people in this country, I don't care what party you're at, want the border to be closed or at least protected, or these people vetted properly, go through the legal process. But just for them to be open with all the friends we got, all the wonderful friends we've made for so many decades with our coups and our orchestrated wars, etc., you know there's some people out there that just love us so much. They just can't wait to come here. I digress. Let's go back to this here real quick. So, the problem that I'm seeing in regards to how every war is affecting people is nobody knows that this has been going on for a long fucking time, right? There's scammers everywhere. Here's a couple of scammers right here. Oh, this is October 25th, 2023. Look at that. Oprah and Dwayne Johnson Relief Fund has paid out $19 million. And the relief payments is unclear. They probably just got the fucking... It's just amazing. And a lot of that money goes back into the fund. Nobody's seen anything yet. This is the same process. These criminals are using the same process that fucking these criminals are using. It's the same process. We need money for war. And what happens? Who gets all that money? Who gets that money? Who gets that money? Not you. Not our soldiers. Thank God they just got a 0.05 or 0.5 raise. But it's been a long... They need a hell of a lot more than that with what they're fucking putting up with. You know, back when I was in, I was on food stamps and fucking and WIC and everything we could to stay afloat while I am protecting my country. Right? It's fucking crazy. All this doesn't need to happen. We, like Mel K said, and like I have been saying, right? I don't know how long she's been conveying that message. All I know is she became very popular when the frontline American whatever doctors came out. And I've been talking about, you know, not to compare, I'm just saying, I think her and I I think she's been on to this, but honestly, I really didn't know much about the World Economic Forum until I started digging in deep in early 2020 and linking the dots, the pins, to there was a giant, you know when you tie a string to one thing to another and the pins and you're putting that, you know, investigation board together on who's who and who's tied to what and all this other stuff. But there was a very thick string in regards to Fluvid-19 and the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization. Very thick string. One that they had built and created that rope or chain a long time ago. You know, several years before before Fluid came out. Just want to let you know. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but that guy deserves... He needs... It just sucks that it has to come to this. That's why I'm pissed off. It says nobody's getting this, right? Nobody's really getting what the fuck is going on out there. You know, Mel gets it. But what Mel doesn't get, and I haven't heard her say it, is the end game. And I talk about the end game all the time because I know the end game. You don't put out a genocidal bioweapon across the planet unless you're trying to do one thing. If you understand what genocidal bioweapon is, right? What is the genocidal bioweapon? Bueller. It's something that kills a lot of people within a short amount of time. You know, internally. It's either injected, or it's swallowed, or it's, you know, another way, or it's airborne, or whatever the case may be. But I'm not talking about a coronavirus, which there are several of them, right? I'm not talking about the average flu. I'm not talking about, you know, your common cold. I'm not talking about bronchitis, which I believe is part of corona. I don't know. Anyway, but what I am talking about is something that they mandated a lot of people to take. Some of my really closest and dearest friends had to take it, or else they would have lost their jobs. Family would have lost their jobs. Which there will be a lawsuit. And they're already starting to press charges on these people and these companies for doing it. It's going to happen. Because when everybody sees the real numbers, and go look up Steve Kirsch, because he's got the real numbers on what's happening with this crap. Anyway, not to get into that. This is about Aaron Bushnell. And I'm going to give him a fucking moment of silence, man. May his mana not be used. May this never happen again. Right? May we never have to sacrifice ourselves to stop these global predator class narcissistic sick fuckers that are out there. And they're out there. I can just they're talked about all the time. It's just, they're out there. And they're unelected officials. There's Bill Gates. There's fucking... How in the fuck is Bill Gates still walking free? That's the fucking trippiest thing. Oh, yeah, it's money. It's definitely money. But there's something else that's keeping him alive. That's keeping him safe. Or out of prison. And I think it's a little more than money. It's because he's part of this mechanism of this genocide. As I said, the global predator class has an end game, and the end game is to get rid of 2/3 of the planet's global population and to hoard the rest for themselves. That's it. That's what it is. Mel didn't talk about that. Mel's not bringing that up. But that's what it is. Jimmy knows. He's seen my tweets. He's seen my stuff. He knows. He's just catching up, and he's right there. He's right there. I think he's almost fully caught up now, but he's got to warn people what's happening, right? And this is a time that's going to happen here pretty soon. Either they're not going to let Trump make it to the November 8th, and there's going to be a gigantic revolution, or Trump's going to get in and he's going to stab everybody in the back, and there's going to be a revolution, right? Either way, either shit changes The globalists are gone, in jail, prosecuted, seen as a terrorist group, and they need to be. Because this whole climate change thing has been fucking murder. You know, they were just talking about France. France is, and a lot of European countries are saying, fuck you to this crap. We know. I mean, I just watched Kim Iverson. She was just talking about it with some guy from fucking Ireland or something. And this has been going on for a long time. Stop killing our cattle. Start making up fucking diseases. You know, it's just out of control. It's out of control. And we need somebody to stop it and expose everything. And we need Julian Assange freed. Right? We definitely need Julian Assange. We need Edward Snowden to be freed. Because these are people that cared. That risked their lives, risked their careers, risked their families to bring us information that exposed the global predator class. That exposes them. Anyway, thank you for being here. Let me see. What do we got? Before I leave. Turns out Pluto was transited by horse, and we were not required to wear 36 layers of disinfectant diaper filters. That's pretty much what it was. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. If you do get a chance to watch, and if anybody wants to come in, anybody, just let me know when I start. I don't like to be too long. I'm going to try to cut it down a little more, make it a little faster. Anyway, aloha. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being here, Snark. Anybody else? Aloha. Take care. Bye-bye.